What's a piece of advice that you feel like you could give to somebody who's either already has an agency, it's in the creative space a little bit, or they're trying to build their agency, or they're just trying to navigate through how do I get more business? Fair question?
Yeah, big question, and I don't want to give away our secret sauce.
No, of course not.
No,
I would never ask.
There is none. No, look, I think we have a lot of differentiators. We built this thing inside CAA for a dozen years for a reason. We talked about that a lot last time. But if we learned anything inside CAA, it was collaboration. It was that as collaborative as every agency loves to say they are, that company is collaboration as culture. And the rules associated with that, return all your phone calls every day, return your colleagues' phone calls first. If a favor is asked of you by a colleague, stop what you're doing, help them, because to help them is to help another agency client. And so what we've done is now we do that at scale, well beyond CA. Of course, CA still is an owner and exclusive partner of ours, but as we're out in the world, we always assume that the person we're calling wants to collaborate with us. There are so many shades now of competition, of co-opetition, whatever it is. We assume even if someone's
Don't jump off that word. You called it co-opetition?
Yeah.
Go back to that for just a second. So what does that mean?
It's this word that seems to have come about, I don't know, maybe a decade ago, where as media was collapsing, media outlets now also have creative agencies.
Sure. So agencies are media companies, companies are agencies.
So theoretically that's competition, or is it or is it not? Well, so I think I posted about this on LinkedIn today, so all 4 of my followers
I only missed it because I was up here setting up.
It's a doozy, let me tell you. But Turner just announced that they have their own branded content studio today. Right? So the first alarm that went off in my head was, forgive my language, oh shit, more competition. Within 1 second, my reaction was, oh, wait a second. This is validation that what we've been saying about moving away from interruptive advertising and toward content that attracts and engages an audience, this is validation because one of the most important distributors of content in the world, Turner, beyond courageous at CNN, is now going all in across the network to do the thing we've been asking our client brands to do for a decade, so it became validation. I reached out to them immediately and said, I just want you to know we love this. How can we work together? Do we have shared clients? Of course we do. Our clients advertise across the Turner network. Turner itself is a client, asterisk. He has now disclosed that. I was excited for them regardless of our client relationship. I'm excited for the fact that the market's moving in the direction we've been betting on.
It is.
You asked for advice and I gave you something else, but collaboration.
But think of, again, I think the piece that I would take away from that a little bit, Jay, is the fact that, again, it's all coming into a giant bowl of soup, right? We're all trying to find a space. We're all trying to figure out who's got the relationship. We're all trying to ultimately help a client. And I think most clients are going to get to a point where they realize who's really there to help them and who's there to sell them, right?
We do, I'm glad you said that.
I don't say much smart, but maybe I did something smart there.
You say a lot, and thank you for it. It seems to me there used to be a quote-unquote advertising community, that groups of executives who arguably competed against each other in the marketplace for employees, obviously for clients, could call it a day at X o'clock, meet each other at the bar, and it didn't matter if you worked at Ogilvy or McCann or Burnett, you were colleagues in an industry. Somehow that fell away. Maybe it fell away through geography, maybe it fell away because the industry is a little bit harder than it used to be. I don't know, I wasn't there. But we would very much like our collaborative approach to the business to bring back some of that community.
Do you think it can?
Yeah, well, I'll announce it here. We're starting something. Look, John and Glenn at 72 and Sunny are great friends. We've worked together at Wieden & Kennedy 20 plus years. Right? They're right down the street. We email occasionally. We occasionally get together for a drink. There are lots of others like that. Sure. Los Angeles has a great quote-unquote marketing community, entertainment and marketing community. We don't hang out, so we're actually going to start getting a standing table once a month, different restaurant. We'll send it out to 50 or 100 people. If 100 people want to come, we'll expand the table to 100. If 5 people want to come, it's a start. And we're going to try to force some community back in. It's tough. We're not all in Manhattan. We can't just all walk out of the building and meet at the corner bar. But it's probably worth the 1-hour drive for this community of like-minded marketers who've established ourselves in this city with a global footprint to start spending time together.
Well, I think back to that point, there's enough business that's out there, right? And so If you're willing to extend a hand, if you're willing to say, look, let's work a little bit collaboratively here, it also feels like to some extent we're all still learning what this new world is going to look like. And whether you're 25 and you're just starting out and you don't know any better, or you're 45 or older, there's plenty of people that are raising a hand to say, I'm not done. I'm not done yet. And I'm willing to kind of jump into this process and see kind of what that process brings to us. And so, again, whether that's coming up with something on your own or coming up with something collaboratively, there's no rule book anymore to some extent. Would you agree?
There's absolutely no rule book anymore. We had one of the world's largest media agencies in here just yesterday, it doesn't matter which one, pitching us on collaborating with them. Well, we have our majority ownership in Stagwell.
Sure.
Stagwell doesn't have a whole lot of media planning and placement right now, but they could. And so I kind of opened with that and said, hey, you sure? And they said, absolutely, we love your work. It doesn't matter who owns you.
Yeah.
What matters is that we could do great work for our clients together. That would normally be my pitch to them, because they have something that I would love for Observatory and Observatory clients to take advantage of, which is their media weight in the marketplace. But they were here because they recognized that our ideas can help them, I guess, plan and place their media better.
You know, again, for us to kick off season 2, to be able to come here, to be able to not only sit with you, but to be able to sit with some of your friends. You were kind enough again to make a couple of introductions for us, which is
pleasure.
It's always helpful for us. Part of this process, again, is that there's no rule book. And even though most of the companies that we invest in are not based in New York, or they're not based in Los Angeles, they may have some footprints there, they may have a footprint in Austin or some other markets. The rule book for us is, let's just throw it out. Let's just figure out who's out there. Let's figure out if we're making wise investments in companies, and can they go out and do good work. Ultimately, the work is what allows you to figure it out. And as we wrapped season 1, as we came out here for season 2, we were excited to come and use your space. And so,
with regard to rule book, if I give a shout out, I guess it would be called, to a client, a global, tied for first largest marketer in the world, who's doing a great job of throwing out the rule book, it's AB InBev. So AB InBev is known for ruthless efficiency, right? In a really good way, right?
Yeah.
They are engineers and economists who are in the beer business, right? So ruthless
competitive
efficiency,
as it gets right now. Yep.
And one of the things they've recognized is that the old school marketing, book, television advertising, but they're seeing diminishing returns. They're seeing diminishing returns in digital. They're economists and engineers, so what do they do with diminishing returns? They look for new things to do.
Yeah.
And what they do is they'll bring us in at a global level, and lots of their other great partners, to pitch a platform, to pitch an idea, to pitch an approach. And if they like it, they open it up to all of their brands globally and say, what about this? So we pitched them one thing. I won't go into what it is.
Sure.
We piloted it in Argentina. Beer sales up 18% at retail, 30% at bars. China picks it up next. So now we're in China with it. 17 countries pick it up the next year, 41 the next year, all never been done. There was nothing to prove before Argentina picked up the pilot that it would work.
Yeah.
We had no data. We had insights.
Yeah.
We had predictive analytics, sort of. But what we really had was what we thought was a good idea for global popular culture at the intersection of beer and something fun to do one night. And they bought into it, they tested it, and they scaled it remarkably. I wish more marketers would do that. Bring us your crazy idea. We will pilot it somewhere, and if it works, we will unlock our global network to you.
And so I think that's a point for any CMO that's out there, right? Whether it's with you guys or whoever their agency is or whatever it is that they're doing, you just got to try stuff and you got to test stuff. And so we're hoping to have more guys like them. I can't actually remember who the CMO for Bud is. I don't know what
you could talk to Ricardo Marquez in the U.S. Yeah, Marquez is awesome.
And I think we saw him speak at an event, and I'm sure we sent him an invite. Hopefully, maybe he'll even jump on the season 2. But I will tell you, I do have a couple of other great people coming up on season 2. I want to make sure I give them at least a little bit of shout out as we start to wrap this up here. Fernando Machado, CMO for Burger King, is going to jump on with us. We're going to go to
also
Miami.
Owned by 3G, which owns AB InBev.
Yeah.
So
and
he'll be able to speak to that.
I'm super excited about having him. Antonio Nieves is coming in to talk to us. That was an introduction from you, CEO of ModCloth. We're certainly excited. Antonio Nieves. Antonio returns to ModCloth, a digitally native retailer of women's apparel, accessories, and decor as the CEO. First of all, hello and welcome.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to be.
For this show, we started our first season last season. Jae Goodman, who you are friends with, correct?
Yep.
Who convinced you to come on the show at least a little bit.
Twisted the arm just a little bit, not too hard.
Within my lifetime, the ability to really kind of track a consumer and really, truly get as close to you can to attribution modeling that consumer to some extent, it really has changed everything. And certainly retail in the clothing industry, to me, maybe almost more than almost anything.
Yeah, I think first it starts back to the core of brand marketing, right, for me. And I learned that at a very early age. I worked at Johnson & Johnson. And when I worked at a company where we were selling Tylenol, you sit there and you think about them as a pharmaceutical business. But in reality, what they are is a marketing business.
Yeah.
They're geniuses at taking a product that really is generic, that you can buy for half the price, but convincing consumers through an emotional connection that it's worth twice as much. And it's a $2.5 billion business. And so then it transforms, and really that piece, doesn't matter what industry you're in, it's all about creating this emotional connection with consumers that allows you to scale these businesses. And you sit there and you look at the fact that I'm college educated. I have a younger sister who's a doctor, finishing up her residency, and we attribute that back to our mother. So when I think about ModCloth and the vision and passion that we have around empowering women and about amplifying their voice, I don't have to look very far. I look to my mother.
It sticks there. It's in your heart.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, it's easy when you sit there and you see the trials. We talk about wage equality. We just did a post this morning around trans people's rights are just as equal as anybody else's. And the fact that we're in a society that we actually have to put those posts today still gives me and my entire company the drive to do what we do. And it's funny because you sit there and you say, well, we sell apparel, but we look at it as not just we sell clothing. We actually believe that we can be a voice for a greater impact, really help, bring equality and true equality.
And then one of my personal favorites, we got a no from her last year. We're getting a yes from her for season 2. Jen Say, she's the CMO for Levi's. We're going to talk to her when we're out in New York, and I'm crazy excited about that. You've said it here, and it's on some other things that I've some other podcasts and things that I've seen you talk about. The one thing I love about you is the fact that you do always bring it back to brand. It's easy to be kind of figuring out, you don't want to be a spokesperson, right? You're you, and clearly you've got very, precise opinions, as we all do, and you don't shy away from that. There's a beauty in that. But I look at what you've done, and I feel like if others aren't following that lead, they're just missing a chance. There's a risk that's involved with that to some extent, right? But you can't see Jen Say speak somewhere and not feel like you haven't left with something, and that passion comes out. How do you continue just to find that every single day? How do you continue to find that passion for the brand?
That's a hard question. I think
I ask once every interview. Maybe there's something hard in there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't work somewhere for a brand or in a company that didn't share my values. And so you're right. I stand up there wherever it may be, and you hopefully feel that. I don't want to have to fake it, so I'm not going to go work somewhere, even if it's for way more money or way more title, where I would have to fake it. When I was younger, I felt like I was always failing at something. I wasn't quite all in work, and you hear this from working moms a lot, or I wasn't quite all in mothering because I wasn't there every minute of every day. But you don't have to be every minute of every day. Make the most of the time that you have with them. But it's not just about quality. It is also about quantity. So I'm home for dinner. I'm helping with homework. I'm involved. But yeah, I'm kind of going hard at everything all the time. So balance, I guess where I miss out is sleep, probably.
But sleep, that's such a great word. I miss it. I so miss it. Well, listen, look how fast that went. That was quickly. 30 minutes, man.
Once again, left with more to say.
I know. We appreciate you jumping on with us. We appreciate the hospitality. Hopefully everybody listened through this kind of kickoff to season 2. Holly, you said you were going to talk.
No, you were doing such a fine job.
We left you no time at all other than we did such a fine job, she said, Jay.
Experimentation and collaboration is what I got out of that whole thing in this new culture.
Thank you for that, Holly.
Yeah.
Next time you sit in this chair or this chair, and Sean or I will sit over there. We would have been better off having heard more from you.
That's it. That's the end of this episode. Thanks for joining us on the CMO Suite.
Thanks for hanging out in the CMO Suite. The podcast for marketers who want to be in the know. Presented by Connectivity Holdings.